You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy. On this episode, I am going to talk about death. Death, it turns out, and I'm hesitant to talk about death. And in a very interesting fact, I believe I've interviewed specifically for this podcast, I think 30 to 40 people, somewhere in there. Open loop, hold that thought. Before I get to it, I want to tell you to make sure to buy a Shure MV88 mic. Buy it through the link in my podcast notes. Get yourself the Shure MV88 mic if you're an Apple user, or the Shure MV88 Plus if you're an Android user. Because you can grab that mic as you walk out the door and are driving in your car or walking or doing a multitude of things, and you can record your episode. And part of producing content for people to consume is recording. So make it easy on yourself. Get the Shure MV88. It's going to do two things. It's going to allow you to record, and B, I get a little kicker if you buy it through the link in my show notes, and it's a tiny little thing, and you pay the same price you would anyway on Amazon. So buy it through the link. It's the Amazon link, and I get a fee as an Amazon associate. How exciting is that? All right, back to the point of this podcast. Well, before I do that, let me just say that I can see that people are clicking and not buying. So some of you out there know you should have it, this mic, so you can start recording, but haven't pulled the trigger yet. So pull the trigger. Get the darn mic. Start recording your episodes consistently. Okay, I'm done. Now, in regards to death, so I've probably interviewed between 30 and 40 people specifically for the podcast. And when I say specifically for the podcast, because I interviewed 20 people for the summit, and I've interviewed 5 or 10 for my soon-to-be released new YouTube channel and podcast rebrand. But of the Bitch Slap official interviews of, let's call it 35, 2 people have died. Yes, 2 of the interviews, 2 of those people have passed away. No joke. And I think that's crazy. I've been interviewing, at the time of this recording, I have been at this podcast for about a year, and 2 people have passed away, which is very interesting. God bless them. Glenn, the Glenn interview, Glenn, God bless Glenn. He's somewhere down there, and then, Glenn, I can't remember his last name right now because it's always anonymous. Glenn something, but look for the Glenn interview. And then Ann Fanaggio. So Ann Fanaggio, it's a Christian lady who we were talking about Christians, divorce, and relationships, and you know how the religious faithful can leverage going to hell against divorce and bad relationships or whatever. It was a fascinating interview. I totally encourage you to go check it out. But yeah, she passed away. I'm not sure how. But I just saw on the Facebook. And the reason I bring this up is I have an opportunity to mentor people, and oftentimes one of the things I encourage them to do is meditate on death and how powerful that is. And, some of the sages and saints out there encourage said behavior, like it's good Hindu practice, for example, or some of the Indian, like dot on your forehead Indian. No disrespect, I shows my ignorance as a being from Wyoming. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. From the land of India, right? They'll encourage you to meditate on death and meditate on the fact that the way we are going to relate to this world is going to change. Like, it's going to change. There's no way around it. And if you do that, perhaps you can suss out what's truly important and begin to let go of what's not important. And you can find what's true to you. What's true to you, not true to somebody else. Like, if you literally contemplate the fact that your relationship to this world is going to end by what we like to call death, then you can start to get clarity. And I also have found for me that it helps me take a lot of things that I take seriously, not so seriously. It helps me free my mind from attachments of how people should be acting, how my kids should be acting, friends should be acting, associates, or thinking, or politicians, or whatever. It really, for me, can shift my perspective. And I love it. And it does it for me in a good way. Now, for someone else, who knows? But I like to do it. And I recommend that people do it. And sages over the centuries and millennia recommend that people do it. So it's not a new idea. I've done it. I had a sponsor who told me, meditate on death, or a mentor. Mischa, meditate on death. And it has, again, freed me of a lot of false expectations, of a lot of expectations of myself. It's allowed me, I think one of the best things, this is in the space I'm in right now, it's allowed me to find what's important to Mischa, and so I can move towards that, letting go of other people's expectations of me, society's, what I believe are society's expectations of me, loved ones' expectations of me. Like, it can help give so much clarity. And and I've seen it help other people. And then lastly, I'll say it again, helps me not take things so seriously. And lastly, it starts to remove this idea of separation. It gives me a glimpse. It has given me personally a glimpse into the truth that we are not separate, that we are all one, and what a powerful concept that is. Used to take that concept very lightly. I don't know if lightly is the right word, but not give it much weight or gravitas or take it seriously. And I find that I take it much more, it provides me much more freedom. Like, it gives me insight that it takes all the leaves on the tree to make the tree beautiful. Right? So if you look at the individual leaf, or the individual human, we see the flaws. But if we can step back and see all the shimmering leaves, and if you step back far enough, like almost every tree is beautiful. To me, anyway, that's me. It's an insight that has been given me. And lastly, as I'm into my 50s now, as I record this, years old, right? And I interview people that are perhaps in my age bracket or older than me. Well, people, odds are your time's coming sooner than the youth. So it's a total statistics. It's a matter of statistics. Yeah, such an interesting thing that a couple people that I've interviewed have passed. That's what I've got for you. Don't take life so seriously. Meditate on death, and who knows what the results can bring. I found it very useful in my life. Love to all. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.